Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the plot tour at the end of September, which has probably been quite a typical September. Bit wet, getting a little bit cooler, and we've still got flowers kicking around. We haven't had a frost yet, thankfully. So the cosmos are doing their thing at the front here. Rhubarb's still alive and producing, not that we're harvesting it. The Nautia is coming back from its hard chop from its first flowering flush. So after last month, I think, when I said about how good our leeks normally do, I shouldn't have said it, because since then the leeks look like they've been absolutely shredded. Not quite sure why. We are getting some strawberries, but it's not really strawberry season, and the slugs are getting them faster than we would ever think about. So the wigwams for the beans are finished, and in more ways than one, because this one, the cane has snapped, and we're going to try and upgrade to some plastic coated canes next year that are slightly shorter than 8 feet. It really just sets it up for being battered by the summer winds. So the berry bushes, they're budding up already for next year. And the carrot bath still in full flow. Very reliable, that one. And these blackcurrant cuttings, looking a little bit anemic. They could really do with going in the ground if we could actually think of somewhere to put them. So we still have some Sarpo Mira potatoes where the foliage has all died down, but the ones covered in straw have still got potatoes in them. So we'll be harvesting them as and when we need them. So this was the experimental Helen Athow bed, where we're supposed to be scything down crops and every 5 weeks, but the chicory has done so well. Well, we've decided to keep it and have it as a fallow bed next year. Oh, little new Waldo's doing quite well. That'll plug a gap that we don't have next year. This was where the failed courgette was. It was seeded up with a cover crop, but really it's not much germinated. The other courgette is done. It's just there as a living root in the ground. Yet again, another example of the shredded leeks. Look at the state of these things. Not what might be the wind, I don't know. But, so we did have 6 tomato plants in this bed. We're now down to the 2 that haven't succumbed so much to the blight. But really it's been a very good year for tomatoes, especially compared to 2 years ago. Oh, and the brassicas, they're actually looking nice. And in amongst them you'll see these little pots of self-sown onions that hopefully will give us something for next year. Brussels sprouts are looking nice. Very clean leaves. Got a little bit twisty before we remembered to stake them. Magnolias are still looking magnificent. And we have got peppers. Whether they'll actually ripen, the ones that are left, it's unlikely. See that one there? So the French beans are done. We have got a few I think we've tagged for harvesting the beans from. I think we've taken those already. And we've got some beetroot. And the peach has certainly recovered from its hackback. Could probably do with another one, otherwise those tops will get blown off during the winter. Foxgloves all prepped and ready for next year. Well, here we go with the cherry. This is, as you can imagine, most of the fruit trees are going that way. I have cleared all the bindweed off the canes at the back of the corral there. That was wonderful, and it gave me a bag and a half of stuff that will compost down. In a couple of years' time we'll have fantastic compost from that. So one of the 2 tomatoes on here has gone, and look at the blight on this. But if you can have a look at the stem, it's pretty clean. So the fruit potentially might get some more. So these Nicotiana, we weren't sure about their spindly nature, but we've kind of grown to like them. So the red love, as we have been taking off the apples that want to come off, but we've still got some that are reluctant to give. Rosemary, it's starting to flower. But these, you can't cut them back into the wood and expect them to regrow, so I will have to replace them fairly soon. So Waldo at the back here has been hacked back. I got fed up with the fact that I couldn't climb up onto the bank there, and I've used one of the long tips. I've popped it in a pot, just going to tip layer that, and that'll be the 3rd tip layer I'll have done. And I will probably remove this because it's stopping me from accessing the hedge at the back there and keeping that neat and tidy, which is meaning the gutter at the back of the shed's not working. So we still got peppers in the quad grow. I was wondering whether the pond was leaking, but actually this iris is basically so big now, it's wicking out the water in the pond almost as fast as I can put it in. So sadly this Otto's thrill, it got too big, fell over even though it was staked, and most of the stems, the branches have snapped off of the tuber at the bottom there, but I'll be moving that next year. So the aster has been doing brilliantly. The bees have been absolutely loving it. Oh, and of course the bees have bored their way into the backs of the flowers on the amistad, which they love doing. Pluot's dying down, of course, as are the lilies and the gladioli. Got some lovely new growth on Gertrude Gico climbing rose here. I'm encouraging her upwards. And finally we have some flowers on Lavender Perfection, but only one of them. This one is still, it's nearly October, but these were 2 very mature tubers that I put in there, and I suspect that they've had nowhere to grow into and very quickly run out of the nutrition in the pot. But they'll be moved. I'll probably put them on the bank next year because they're quite sort of short dahlias. Raspberries are finished. They are autumn. This is a polka variety. They are autumn fruiting. There are a few, but quite tasteless now. But our summer was kind of forced them into being early. Got a lovely display of sweet alyssum underneath the plum trees. So just took the last of the sweet corn a couple of days ago, and these are now dying down. I will soon scythe them back and remove the net and just put their remains down as the residues. Parsnips, just waiting for that first frost so that they will sweeten up. And yet more pathetic leeks. And the lettuce in here have started to be ready. We've harvested one. And the brassicas. We did quite well with brassicas for a few years, and then a couple of years ago they've started to struggle, and we put on some boron in this bed, and we are thinking it's always hard to tell, but they have absolutely rocketed away, so maybe that was the missing ingredient. And we've got some more cabbages newly put in here with the beetroot on the other side. And the dahlias are still on the go here. The blooms aren't quite as big, but they're still lovely. Still a few apples on the espaliers. And this is really why we are keeping the chicory, Asil. Once it starts flowering, it lasts and lasts and lasts, and the flower is really lovely. And the bees love it. I do like that omega dahlia. So the fruit trees have died back since I gave them the hack back. So the Phacelia that's seeded itself is coming really well. So we're going to take out the, sweep off the bark. There's plastic under here that goes around the trees. We don't think that's helping anything other than keeping the weeds down. And all it did was the impatiens here, most of them got killed off by ants coming up through the holes in the plastic where they were planted. And if we can remove that, then hopefully the ants won't be killing off our plants. So this is the oldest of the new Waldos. I've been tying in its growth for next year, going to be looping it over the obelisk. We've got some rose buds coming here in Golden Celebration. And the borage is still attracting the bees. I'm a bit disappointed with the tayberry's growth for next year along the back there. We have got one on either side that were tip layered, so but they've not done terribly well either, but I think it's just they don't like the weather. So we've harvested some Sarpomira potatoes we put in the ground there. They weren't very good, but they tend not to do well for us in the ground, hence having potatoes in the pots. And there we are. I hope everybody's keeping well. I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.